From the unknown to the stars, from the couch to the car, from the unheralded and the unheard, to the legends and beyond, it's where we all belong. Yes, this is where it all starts. From every genre, from every plane, this is where the music's played. So tune right in, won't you bring a friend? This is where it all begins. Welcome to the show, let the music flow of every style and creed. And you can bet your socks that ETX rocks, ETX rocks.
Hey guys, Boss and Chris here with the #1 resource for independent music in Northeast Texas. It's the ETX Rock Show, and it's Season 4, Episode 6, number 306 total. The one and only Season Ammons. From, where are you? Dallas now?
Dallas, born and raised, yes.
You've been around a little bit.
Yes, I have.
But she brought her guitar. Kick-ass songwriter. I'm super stoked to introduce you guys to her. Now, the first song you're doing is called Damn Good Man. And I'm assuming this is from experience. So tell us a little bit about the song.
Well, Damn Good Man's just a shout out to all you men out there who love us crazy-ass women. And, you know, it takes a special man, really, to be able to love, a musician, an artist, you know, and women in general. I mean, and you guys are not perfect, but, you know, we can be up and down. We can be emotionally crazy and all this other stuff, but it's great when you find that man that thinks that you're worth it and wants to love you unconditionally, even through all the ups and downs. And that's kind of what I was going for. And I'm very appreciative to all you men out there who love unconditionally, because it's hard work, and you know the return is there for y'all as well, because y'all are just as crazy as we are. So
absolutely,
you know, y'all do it for us, we'll do it back for you.
I have some great questions for her about this song, but I want you guys to hear it first before I ask her my questions. It's Damn Good Man, first time ever in the ETX Rocks living room. It's Season Ammons, y'all. Check it out.
Sleepless nights, baby, is my worried mind. You can take one look at me and see the troubles underneath, and I don't have to say a thing. Babe, you're always there for me. You're a damn good man, one hell of a love, my best friend like no other. I love the way you say my name, and I love the way you kiss my face, and I don't know where I would be without you, baby, here with me. I hope someday I can make you see you're a damn good man for loving me. Now you're my bridge to solid ground when I'm lost and can't be found. Sometimes I can't find my way, but baby, you're my saving grace. And when I break and fall apart, you're always there with open arms, and I don't have to say a thing. Babe, you're always there for me. You're a damn good man, one hell of a love, and my best friend like no other. I love the way you say my name, and I love the way you kiss my face, and I don't know where I would be without you, baby, here with me. I hope someday I can make you see you're a damn good man for loving me. Yeah. Oh,
we are back, and the first question I gotta ask, because you are a songwriter, and I've listened to a lot of your songs, not just from this record, but from previous records as well. There's a lot of sad songs in your repertoire.
Yes.
This is a positive song.
Yeah.
This is positive subject matter.
Right.
So I guess, instead of just going back to like infanthood or whatever, was it difficult for you to write something positive?
No, because I was inspired.
Yeah.
And so, I just wrote it out of experience, finding that right man, and being able to write it from the heart, and when it happens, I do write literally like what's in front of me a lot of times. Sometimes I write from other people's perspectives, and I'll write stories, I guess, from other people's point of view. But
it's that third person perspective.
yes, like a movie. Sometimes I'll write very like cinematically.
Right.
And I'm like writing.
I've heard that from other songwriters. It's going to be difficult to do that. How
You're
do you connect to a song like that?
Well, you're just you're trying to create a movie, a 3-minute movie.
Yeah.
And how do you set your listener up for that?
Yeah.
And even in some of these songs, I mean, there's always a piece of me. There is some truth and some pieces of me, even in songs that aren't necessarily about me. I drop hints of my real true self into every song. So, but yeah, I mean, it's fun. That's the fun part of songwriting is it's like filling out a crossword puzzle almost. You just have so many lines. Once you figure out your rhyme scheme and you're this and that, it's like you're filling in the blanks and you're trying to tell the story, and it's like hard and it's challenging, but a lot of fun for me.
But when it's complete, now, we've had a couple hundred songwriters on the show, from the unknowns to the legends and beyond. So I like to ask some of the same questions because you get a lot of the same answers, but everybody does it different.
Right.
Do you feel like you go back to songs sometimes, or when you sit down and write, is it done, it's done, or are we going back to polish sometimes?
It's both. Honestly, sometimes songs will just, I'm a vessel, and literally they come to me, through me, and
like a conduit.
Yes.
Yep.
And I will write it in 10, 15 minutes, like Salvation.
Mm-hmm.
Salvation was one of those songs that literally dropped into my lap. I wrote it. I just literally was dictating it, and then it was done. It was finished. Now, other songs have taken me years to write. Sometimes I will just have a melody and like a phrase, and it'll just sit there for years and years because it's not there yet, or I don't know, and I'll pick it back up years later. There's a song called Raining in Memphis that will be on another record down the road, but anyway, I literally just had a phrase and I had the melody, and it took me almost 6 years to write it.
Wow.
And
so what do you think works better for you? Like what sounds better to you as a finished product? Is it the conduit kind of songs, or the ones that are a struggle a little bit?
It's hard to say, because Raining in Memphis is one of my best songs, but then again, so is Salvation, which is on this new record. And I cried when I wrote it. I literally was like, thank you. Like, I can't believe that just happened to me. And
it's going to be awe-inspiring to...
It is. I'm just like, how is this real? Like, did that just happen? And it blows my mind. Sometimes I'm like, this is really who I am. And, it's a gift. It really is.
So Season, like I said earlier in the show, she's been around. You've been multiple states. What I love about your music, your journey within your music, is the diversification of the styles of music that you've brought to the table. Not just in your live performances, but what you've recorded. Mm-hmm. I mean, I've heard blues and rhythm and blues and country, of course, and there's so much more. Americana, folk, rock and roll. Mm-hmm. Where does this come from?
It honestly, my upbringing. I think I'm living in an interesting time. We're living in an interesting time. And the age that I'm at. I'm 40 years old, and so I was born in the 70s,
mm-hmm.
and so grew up, listening. My parents listened to like R&B, Motown, and like classic rock. That's what I was raised on, was their music. But I was a child of the 80s, so I was influenced by Madonna and Cyndi Lauper, and like
Not a surprise.
Phil Collins
Yeah.
and Billy Joel. Like, those are some killer songwriters and then entertainers, Madonna. And then, of course, I was a teenager in the 90s, so I was totally into like Red Hot Chili Peppers, Stone Temple Pilots,
rock scene.
Alice in Chains.
Yep.
I mean, you name it. And
Pearl Jam.
Yes,
All those
Pearl
bands,
Jam. I
yeah.
mean, so there's this huge kind of eclectic thing that happened with where I just melded all of that together. And then you throw in there that, like, I was really shy growing up. I didn't really find my voice until I got into choir. I was in middle school, freshman, 8th, 9th grade, where because I was singing with a group of people, I kind of wasn't as shy.
Yeah.
And
you could hide a little bit.
I could hide a little bit, but not for long. My choir teacher, she pulled me aside one day and she said, I can hear you
those dang teachers.
out of everybody else.
Yeah.
And she's like, I'm giving you the Christmas solo, which was Merry Christmas, Darling by the Carpenters.
Okay.
So that was my first performance ever. And but anyway, like, going in choir, then I started like doing competitions and went to UIL, state
Right.
competitions, stuff like that. So I learned how to use my voice and how to project and vibrato and just a lot of like classical training type techniques. So it's like this perfect storm of all of this combination of like me loving Motown and like being drawn to voices like Gladys Knight and like Stevie Wonder and Ray Charles. And then
Do you feel like, that's something I think about all the time, because I'm 42, so I'm right there with you. Child of the 70s, all of that stuff. I think my 80s experience was a little bit different than yours. I liked Billy Joel and all those too, but I was into the glam rock, the hair metal, the Poisons, the Bon
Yes.
Jovis, the Def Leppards, all of them. But 90s for me was all about country music and alternative rock for me. I loved 90s country. But for me, I always feel like every single step that I've taken in my life has led me to who I am now. It has prepared me for what I'm doing and who I'm meeting and all of that. Do you feel like that's kind of a thing for you too?
oh yeah, for sure.
Because you're talking about like, I did this in middle school, and then I had to do this, and I had to do that. And here you are now, you're a songwriter, you're a performance artist, all of that. So all of those things growing up were preparing you for who you are now.
Who I am right now.
Yeah.
You're absolutely right. And, another interesting thing was Leanne Rimes, okay? She, her and I were the same age. And she is from Garland, which is where I went to middle school, high school, grew up in the suburbs, Dallas and G-Town. And during all of this, like, choir stuff, and my mom kind of finding out that I have a voice and that I'm singing and that I, starting to enjoy it, Leanne Rimes came out with that Blue song that hit the radio. And here my mom's going, Season, there's this girl, she's 15 years old, and her name's Leanne Rimes, and she's on the radio, and you could do that too. And she was saying, that she got her start at the Garland Opry. And here in Texas, every little town has got
Has
an
an
Opry.
Opry, yep.
And it's community driven.
I was going to ask you if you went out for the Opries.
I
and stuff
did.
like
I
that,
mean,
yeah.
because that was the only place as a teenager. I mean, you couldn't play in clubs, so that gave you a stage and performance.
Was that in
time.
church?
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly. And at the time, I wasn't really into country so much because my parents, like I said, were classic rock and Motown. But I grew up summer times with my grandparents and aunts and uncles that lived out in LaGrange, which is, cool. But they would listen to country, and so I started getting into that 90s country, like you're saying. But starting to play the Opry circuit, it gave me a chance to play, and it kind of melded. Well, and also giving you a chance to play with a full band. At the time, I wasn't playing guitar yet. I didn't really start playing guitar until I was about 16.
Because then you have to learn like cues.
Yes.
And all that stuff.
You got to learn these songs, and like that was a big deal for me just to even get on a stage, play with a band, and then
Without having all those other singers around you, you're out there without a net, Yeah.
And you know, that kind of turned me on to like understanding where the opera even came from, Nashville, you
Right.
know, and all these. So that in turn led me to move to Nashville. I left home when I was 17, and lived on my own, and then struck out at 19 and
Wow.
moved. You know, the classic story: my car, my guitar, and
Yeah.
moved to Nashville.
Wow.
And you know,
No
it's
looking back.
all of that was just. You
Did you
know,
stop off? Let me try that again. Did you stop off in Memphis?
I did.
Because you have that Memphis sound
Uh-huh.
to a lot of your songs.
Yes, and I do talk about Memphis. I've got that "Raining in Memphis" song,
Yeah, yeah.
and then there's a song on the record called "Whiskey Wings," and it talks about a romance that I had with a rhinestone cowboy who was passing through Memphis on his way to Abilene. And,
Nice.
So yeah, Memphis was right there, and so I would make trips from Nashville to Memphis and.
Or do you
play.
think you were more accepted for who you were as an artist then?
You know,
Because they're completely different scenes.
Yeah, oh, totally different
Yeah.
scenes. You know, and really, it's like I had no idea what I was doing. You know,
Yeah.
I literally would go to Memphis and go hit open mics and like do all kinds of stuff. And same thing with Nashville. I would hit every writing jam and session and just do all the things that people tell you to do when you show up and you're 19 years old.
Right.
And I had no plan. I was literally just working odd jobs. I was like waitressing. I worked at a temp service, so I got to work down a Music Row and anything I could do. I was washing cars, like cleaning people's houses. I did so many things just so that I could make enough money.
That was the Nashville way of life anyway. I mean,
Oh, yeah.
the first time I ever met Joe Nichols, he was bartending. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, you know, it's like it happens.
Well, and I just hit the ground running. You know, I kind of, instead of going to college, I went to the School of Hard Knocks in
Yeah,
Nashville.
yeah.
And just, you know, just soaked it all in. I literally was not naive by any means. I didn't go there thinking I was going to, like, make it or get some record deal. I wasn't that naive. But
Right.
I went knowing that I was...
It sounds like you were willing to pay your dues.
Oh,
though.
yeah. Like, I was thinking of it like an internship. I'm like, I'm going to just go out here, see what happens, meet people, work my butt off, and learn how to create a good song. You know,
Right.
that's why I chose Nashville, was like, that's the songwriting capital of the world. And I, since a very young age, always was curious about songwriting and how did you write a song? Like, how, you know,
Yeah.
melodies moved me and stories moved me. And so...
Which is, again, another step in your journey as to why you're who you are now. So you're back in Texas now, and you're making waves here in the Texas country music scene. Do you feel like Nashville prepared you for that? And why do you think it maybe didn't work out in Nashville?
Well, so, you know, Nashville definitely prepared me in many ways, just by learning the business side of things. I learned about shadiness. I learned
Yeah.
about...
What can you do for me now? That
yeah,
kind
you
of
know, I
stuff.
learned what it meant to be jaded. I learned, you know, just
Yeah.
a lot of things. And, you know, honestly, I lived there for about 4 years, and then I met my ex-husband. He was born and raised in Nashville, actually Franklin, which is south of Nashville.
I've been to Franklin.
And it used to be a little bitty town, but now it's a big deal, and all the big stars live out there now,
Yep,
from
the
what I
Judds
hear.
live there. The Mandrells live there.
Yes, it's
AJ's house isn't far from there.
really blown up over
Yeah.
there. But when I met my ex-husband, I wanted to get married. I wanted to have kids. It was, I mean, if you think about it, I had been kind of like living hard since I was about 13.
Right,
I mean,
right.
I have done my share of drugs.
And you just want something different.
Yeah,
Yeah.
drugs and drinking and
Stability. Yeah.
and left home at 17, was living in Nashville, and when he came along, he was in the military. So he was pretty much like the opposite of me, and he just, you know, I really admired his structure, and I
Yep.
admired a lot of things about him, and he was a good guy, you know, and so I kind of wanted to play that part. And I'm so thankful that I did, because I got two beautiful boys out of it who are now teenagers. But so once we got married, his military career took us all over, and we
Yeah.
ended up in Connecticut for 3 years, which is where I had both of my sons up in Connecticut.
Is that Mystic?
What?
Mystic, Connecticut?
Yeah, it was near Mystic.
Yeah.
Actually, it was in New London and
Okay.
Groton,
Yep.
and yeah, it was.
Oh, Groton.
Yeah, Rotten
Yeah.
Groton is what we
Yep,
used to
yep.
call it, and that was the furthest north I'd ever been.
It's
so
like
that
the
was
submarine base up there. I
Yes,
believe, yeah.
yep, that's what he did. He worked on the submarines, and so I kind of put music aside for a little bit, and I was focusing on raising my boys, and I still played around the house. I was still writing music, and
It never goes away.
no, it
Yeah.
never does. No, and but living up in the cold, it was a little depressing, and we soon got stationed to Virginia Beach after that.
Wow.
And so we lived there for about 3 years. And as they got older, I started, wanting to get back out there and kind of.
So that was probably Little Creek, right? Virginia
Yes,
Beach. Yeah.
you certainly know. And
I know a little bit.
yeah, and from there, once the boys got a little bit older, then we actually got stationed in Houston.
Okay.
Which he was doing recruiting, because there's not a base obviously
Yeah.
in Houston, but we
Close to home now, though.
Yes,
Yeah.
and that was the first time I had been back home in a decade.
Wow.
So it was great kind of living back home, being back home, and Houston seemed like the perfect place for me to kind of re-enter and kind of pick up where I had left off in Nashville. And actually that's kind of where I started, getting back into it. I ended up meeting Stormy Cooper,
Wow.
who is Roger Krager's bass player,
Yeah.
and he had just
Hell of a producer.
yes,
Yep.
and he had just opened up his studio, Stormy Cooper Media, and I was one of his first few clients
Holy cow.
that he recorded.
I had no idea.
So that was
So
when-
you have worked with Stormy Cooper and Dave Percival.
yes,
Wow.
yes, and that it was so cool. I just remembered. So this was like 2009 when
Okay.
so we're talking a decade ago, when I'm going, okay, I want to get back into the music scene. What does it mean? Like, how, everything was starting to change. You could feel this change happening in the industry, and you were hearing more about independent artists. And so I just dove more into the business side and tried to figure out, how do you get started? Like, how do you even put out a record? At this point, I had done some demos and done some other stuff, but never
Nashville stuff.
put out a record.
Right.
And it just, I was so curious about, getting started. So little by little, it was like I went to conventions, I went to songwriting workshops, I networked my
Like
ass off.
songwriter retreats, stuff
Yeah,
like that.
yeah. And all of a sudden just started writing like crazy, writing more than I ever had written in my life. And they were good. They were like a lot better than anything I'd ever written before.
Yeah.
I had, this experience and, had done so much already at that point. But so.
And at that point, you're a wife, mom,
Yes. Yeah.
traveling the country.
Yeah. Well, and also dealing with some disappointments.
Yeah.
Realizing that, as much as we loved each other and we were married and we loved each other, but we just were so different and so opposite, and we were kind of ill-equipped to be married. He just came from one type of mindset, and I came from another, and the military and the musician butted heads a lot. And as much as he wanted to support me, and he did, the reality of what it means to be an artist and be a full-time singer and a songwriter,
Yeah.
it's a lifestyle, just
It
like
is.
the military is a lifestyle.
Absolutely.
And it just didn't work. And
They're
so,
really not as different as you might think, too.
I know.
Yeah.
Well, and that's the thing. It's like, but the late nights, the networking, this industry is male dominated. So there was a lot of just issues with that, and also not being able to see a clear definition of how you get there. That drove him crazy.
Yeah.
And he couldn't support it.
Not
And-
just that, but like the definition of success is so, the
Yeah.
line is so faded
Yeah.
in,
Oh, yeah.
in music.
It's very.
And everybody's definition of success is different in this business.
Yeah,
you
for
know?
sure.
Yeah.
Well, and he couldn't wrap his brain around that and understand that, and so that started driving a wedge between us, and I started, feeling a little defeated. I also started feeling a little depressed because here I had this great husband and I had these beautiful kids, but I wasn't satisfied, and so there was guilt associated with that. Going, well, why aren't my kids enough? Why isn't this good enough?
Yeah.
Because deep down, I'm a musician, and it was eating me.
Right.
And so I felt like I was being made to choose, and so it just. I just fell into a downward spiral of drinking, and it got way
But
out
you
of
made it
control.
out of that.
Oh my gosh!
So-
Yeah, thank God.
And you found your way back to Texas.
Oh my
which
God!
is a good thing.
Yeah, well, and
At least for us, the listener, I think.
Well, that was the thing. It's like once I had just started getting started in Houston, and I had made that record, my first record in 2011.
And that was with Stormy.
With Stormy.
Okay.
Because it was 2010 where I declared, I said, I'm doing this. I'm going to be an artist. Like, this is my job. I'm going to take this very seriously. I'm going to do everything I can to do it. And made the record 2011. Then we got stationed in Florida.
Oh, wow.
So right as things were just starting to happen for me, we moved to Florida. And then, of course, the marriage fell apart. But I realized really quickly that Florida had a great music scene, and I was able to jump in and basically.
What part of Florida was it?
The Panhandle, where Destin,
Okay.
Pensacola.
So down over near Alabama and all
Yes.
that. Yeah.
So there's this whole other like swampy trop rock thing. You're 4 hours east of New Orleans.
Yep.
You're Alabama, Georgia. So there's this big kind of an interesting scene
That's cool.
that I jumped into, and that's part of why I stayed.
Sounds like that
so
shaped
long.
you.
Oh, tremendously. For
Yeah.
the first time, I was working more than I ever had in my life because it was it's a tourist scene there.
Yeah.
So you're able to play 7 nights a week
Wow.
and make money and make good money.
Right.
And so that's kind of what I did. I jumped into the scene on the Emerald Coast there. I had formed a band. And so within a couple of years, I was doing really well with my band and just put out another record. I actually went to Nashville for my second record that I put out in 2014, and went to East Nashville, recorded a great record there. But anyway, yeah, it was really hard to kind of like leave that scene because my kids were there.
Well, that and you're established. You're playing every night and making good money
Right.
doing it. Yeah.
Yeah, so it was it was good there, and actually, I loved every minute of it. I think I lived there a total of almost 8 years.
Wow.
Yeah, and so that's why I'm back in Texas. But for some people, I'm new. But for other people who've been watching me since basically 2011, when I put out that first record with Stormy, they have been watching me and followed me, and so now I'm back. But to other people, I'm new,
Right.
although I've been around for a while.
Well, I'm glad to know who you are now. And I want to talk about the record a little bit, too, because this is not your first Texas record.
Right.
But it's the current Texas record.
Yeah.
The single, which is called Jim Beam Nicotine, is the first single you've had on the charts here in Texas. And number 52 this week,
Yes,
by the way.
I know.
It's
Super
going to be
stoked.
top 50 probably this Friday, I
Yeah.
imagine, because
Yeah.
it's jumping big time.
Yeah.
Congratulations on that, first of all.
Yeah.
I don't know how much you know about the charts, but it's really difficult for a female
I know.
in this state. It's getting better,
Yeah.
which is good. We are a huge champion of the female artist in Texas, as you can probably tell.
Yes.
We've had dang near every female in Texas here on the show. Bonnie Bishop, call me.
Call him, Bonnie. I love you, Bonnie. You're a
Yeah.
badass.
Oh my God, yes. Yep. But sorry. But no, number 52. I think it's going to be top 40 hit for you. honestly.
I know. I'm like super excited because for it to be my first single, like that's huge.
Yeah.
It's huge.
How much radio are you doing for this?
A lot.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, I'm hitting a lot of stations, and
Yeah.
I've been out on tour for a couple weeks now, and we're just.
Well, I want to thank you. We're not your typical radio. We're just a podcast here in East Texas. So I want to thank you for spending some time with us. We're the little guy, so to show us some love, that means a lot to us. And I know you're doing our friends over at KYKX later in the afternoon. And I want to thank Mr. Percival, who I'm a huge fan of, by the way. I hope to have him on the show someday. for sending you our way. Of course, we talked first,
Yeah,
I think.
yeah.
And of course, Dylan Steen, we're
Yes.
huge fans of each other. I call him the tenacious bulldog. He is legitimately
He is.
the most badass radio promoter in the state of Texas.
He is.
I don't say that, lightly at all.
Yeah.
I mean, he's a badass.
So I feel like we've got a great team around me.
An all-star team, dude. Like,
Well, and I know that doesn't happen unless you've worked your ass off.
absolutely.
To get
and you have to be
that
good.
Yeah.
You have to be good. That has to be empowering for you.
It is, because I feel like I've worked really hard.
Yeah.
And
Is it humbling too, though?
It is.
Yeah.
It's very humbling to just even.
It's tough to be empowered and humble.
I know,
humbled
it's
at the
such
same
a
time.
contradiction.
Yeah.
I should write a song about that. But
We get a third.
It's so funny.
I'm only kidding. Oh man, maybe we should make it empowered and humbled. Maybe that should be the tagline, something to that effect. But yeah, man, Dave Percival's no joke, man. Like,
You know. He's a really cool dude too, and he's my mentor. And I've gotten to know him over the last couple of years now, and so we have a really great relationship. And he's just a good friend, and then a mentor, and and then him being my producer. It's really cool. And it's like, I know that I've met, like I'll be making records with him probably for the rest of my life. Like there's
That's a good
no
thing.
doubt. Like it's like I found the right fit,
Yeah.
and
and I've heard that from other artists. Like once you go see Super Dave,
Yes.
you know what I'm saying?
yeah.
One thing I want to point out, because this is something you don't see very often in the music industry, okay? If you look on the back of an album, and I'm sure if you're a music fan, you probably know this, but if you look on the back of an album, you can typically see who wrote each song on the record, right? And you usually see, if there's 10 songs on a record, you'll probably see like 8 to 10 names on it. Not on this record. At the bottom, all songs written by Susan Ammons. No co-writes. Just all you. That is not something you see in this industry. Not by males, not by females, not by anybody. Everybody has co-writes or songs that are pitched to them or whatever. Why did you choose to put all originals?
I really wanted to make a statement.
Good.
I really wanted to come out strong, and I was confident enough, and Dave was confident enough, and the songs were there. The songs were good, and it was just like, we're gonna come out balls to wall.
I like it.
And
That's a great answer. Because I was hoping it was something to that effect. It's so rare to see that nowadays, especially from a female artist. I hate saying it like that because I am that guy that is trumpeting for the females here in the state. I see your name in the top 50 almost, and I get chills from that because that means shit is changing in Texas. You are a debut female fixing to have a top 50 song. That's good news for all the other girls out there.
Absolutely.
So congratulations on that.
Thank
That's a huge accomplishment.
Thank you.
The record is called Neon Side of Town, guys, and we're going to tell you a little bit later after the second song, and we're fixing to talk about here in a minute, where you can buy this record or stream it, either one or both. I'll tell you how to do that here in a minute. But tell us about the second song. This is the last song on the album, which I always say is probably one of the best songs on every album I've ever heard. It's always the last song. You got to leave them wanting more.
Yeah.
So tell us about Salvation.
So Salvation was one of those songs that literally wrote itself. It just
Yeah, we talked about it a little bit earlier.
So I literally it was crazy because I've been through a lot, obviously, as do a lot of people, and it's almost like I heard a voice. It was like I was just doing a prayer and a meditation. I've really gotten into meditation last year. It's helped me tremendously just to get focused and get real about what's real.
Yeah.
And let things go and not worry about the past and not worry about the future and be in the moment. And so I had just gotten out of a meditation. It was in the morning, and I just heard, the voice that's yours, my voice, it's God, the universe, whatever you want to call it, your inner guide, just said, pick up your guitar. and my electric guitar. So I just went and picked it up, and I strummed a chord, and immediately I just heard it. I mean, like the one chord. I immediately was like turned on. I was like, okay. So, and I put the guitar down. I grabbed a piece of paper as fast as I could, and I just wrote it. I wrote it 10 minutes. I'm sitting here writing it, and then I got my iPhone and I picked up, got the voice memo, and pressed record, and I just played it, and it was there, came out, and I cried. I just cried my eyes out because I just was like, holy crap, it was good. And
the crazy thing is we have heard this story from several other songwriters. That's why I mentioned Conduit earlier, because I've heard it described that way so many different times from other songwriters, and it's cool to hear that, because that doesn't happen for regular everyday folks like us. I can't even click a pen in rhythm, and you guys are just pulling songs out of midair. You know what I mean?
It's weird. It's crazy. I mean, it is the craziest thing, and I literally am like, I was like, thank you. I'm like, and I knew when I played, and I sent it over to Dave immediately. I texted it to him, and he was like, holy shit.
Yeah. I hope you guys will consider making this a single, because I think this is a great tune.
That's cool. I'm glad you said that. I mean, we're already talking about the next single and what would it be, and it's very difficult because there's not a bad song on this record.
Well, I'll tell you what, guys. You guys out there, listen to the song. It's called Salvation. If you think this is single worthy, comment down below. I'll make sure she sees them. Comment down below wherever you're watching or listening. Say, hey, we want Salvation to be a single. And maybe we'll make that happen.
That would be cool, because out of the whole record, and the part of the reason why we closed it, we closed the record with this song, is it makes a statement and it ties everything together, but it's also very sparse production.
Right.
It's just me on electric guitar, and
it's got bare. It's very bare.
Very bare, and the song has room to breathe, and you are able to really take it all in.
Yeah, I feel like the song, you can really breathe it in a lot more when you're not listening to all the production, or trying to hear like different parts to it and all that. But we're excited to show you guys this song. It's called Salvation from Season Ammons, live here in the ETX Rocks living room. Y'all check it out.
I've come a long ways. Lord knows that I tried. And I've seen better days since the tears that I've cried. But I'm always lifting myself up with my head to the sky. I've been blessed with a full cup. No need to ask why. shadows follow you. The darkest of nights. There is salvation. Love is your life. Ooh, yes, there is salvation. Love is my God.
All right, guys, we are back again. That was Salvation by Season Ammons. Again, guys, comment below. Say single or no single, or get the record.
Yeah,
Comment down below your favorite song.
yeah, pick the next one. That'd be great.
So if people are just hearing about you, where can they follow along with everything you have going on? Like social media and stuff.
So
like that.
social media, I'm on Facebook, Instagram. Those are my top two. I
Okay.
do some Twitter, but mostly Facebook, Instagram. And you can go to my website, which is seasonammons.com, and there's links to all that there.
Yeah.
But there's also a sign-up list, a newsletter sign-up list, which we're getting things rolling. So I haven't sent out newsletters, but we will be putting out newsletters to let folks know where I'm playing and where you can, just news.
Yeah.
As they progress.
And we'll definitely put a link to the website in the description below. But season is spelled like, all the seasons, and Ammons
Yep.
is the last name. It's seasonammons.com. Now, one thing we like to do is we definitely implore everybody to pick up a copy of Neon Side of Town. I know you can get it on the website.
Yep.
But you can also get it on iTunes, Google Play, all the media outlets.
Every single media outlet that you can imagine. It's on over 600 digital platforms worldwide.
Wow.
Yeah, which is cool. We
Yeah,
found a
that is
really
neat.
great digital distributor, so
Very cool.
it's exciting that it's all.
So what we always like to try to tell our listeners and viewers to do is, if you like the music, support the artist, buy the record, and then stream the record.
Yeah.
Because then you get it twice. So, buy it, put it in your phone, do whatever you got to do, and then open up your Spotify and stream it. And now Season's getting twice the love.
Yep. Because those streams, they do add up. Right? And a lot of people are,
Well, you get a million spins, you can go to Starbucks.
Sure, exactly.
You know what I'm saying?
Fractions of pennies do add up.
That's right. That is true. YouTube is kind of the same way too. Like I think you get like $1 for every 1,000 views or something like that. It's ridiculous.
Which we're working on the YouTube channel and things like that. We have a lot of work to do. Now that we've got the team built, and it takes a while as an independent artist to get all the stuff lined up to where.
As a follower of your social media, you seem to be on top of it. So that's a good thing for someone our age.
Right, I know.
I had a young person in here Saturday that does not do social media, and I was blown away.
Wow.
And she was like 22 or something, 23,
Wow.
and she's like, I just don't do it. I can't do it.
Well,
what?
you got to do it in this
Yeah,
day and age.
I agree.
And so I try to keep up, and that's why I just limit it really to Facebook and Instagram. Those are my two favorite, and I'm able to do those.
I can barely do more than Facebook. I remember at like 2:30 in the morning that I have an Instagram. It's like, I'm gonna go post on Instagram, and all you hear is crickets.
Yeah.
Everybody's asleep but me. Oh man, it's a bad idea. You have to remember. During peak hours would be nice. But yeah, it's seasonammons.com. Just real simple. Click in the description below. Head over to her Facebook and her Instagram. Hit the follow and like button. It's completely free for you guys to do that. And that's a huge support to an artist because it actually shows, venues.
Talent buyers, yes.
Talent buyers, labels, all the people in the music business that matter. They look at those social media numbers.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, that's the way the business is today. So that little free click is huge to an artist.
Well, and Spotify's big right now. We're going to
Yeah.
be working on Spotify, getting that up because I am learning a lot too. That Spotify a lot of the talent buyers and booking agencies
Yep.
are looking at Spotify. So if you're on Spotify, follow me on Spotify as well. I've got to get monthly listeners.
Is there a link for that on your webpage as
Yes,
well? Okay,
yes.
cool. Very cool. All right, guys. So again, buy the record, stream it. It's Neon Side of Town. Also, another great way you can support Season right now is Jim Beam and Nicotine is number 52.
Yeah.
Call your local radio and have them play it.
Request it.
Yeah, even if you live in like Copenhagen, the town, not the snuff. You know what I'm saying? Because I don't know too many people who can live in one of those little tiny cans. But Copenhagen will play it.
Yeah, anybody will play. And if they keep hearing it, they keep hearing the name, and they are like, even if they don't play it, it's still good because they're hearing my name.
And there's going to be future singles too.
Yes.
And I mean, every time someone hears your name,
Yes.
you know, it's helping you in the future.
Yes.
So call and request Jim Beam and Nicotine. She actually performed a live version of that, completely unplugged here in the living room. We're going to stick that version of the song right here at the end of the episode, so you guys can check that out in case you did not see it on Facebook last week. I think we put it out, so you can check that out at the end of the episode, and call and request the radio version. I guess is what it would be called.
Yeah, radio version.
Yeah. So check that out. Usually radio version is like a rap thing that means no cuss words.
All right, yeah, radio edit. Which I do. On the record, I had to specify that there was explicit lyrics.
I saw that. I saw that.
On whatever
It
song.
just
it
makes
was.
you even more badass, by the way. But yeah, we want to thank everybody for tuning in to episode 306 featuring Season Ammons for the first time on the show. Hopefully it won't be the last time.
Yeah, I'll be back.
You
Thank
have an
you.
open invite anytime you want to come back.
Thank
Just let
you
us
for
know.
all that you do. I appreciate it.
No problem,
It means,
no problem.
you know, we're all little guys and we all have to help each other out.
Absolutely,
and
I agree.
appreciate
We're
the
just a huge fan of the songwriter. That's all it is for
Yes.
us, and you're a great songwriter.
Thank
so
you.
keep it going.
I will.
Keep it real.
Thank you.
It's Jim Beam and Nicotine. Y'all make sure you're requesting that. You can follow along with everything ETX Rocks has going on. We're on all social media outlets at ETX Rocks. Google ETX Rocks. She's talking about 600 platforms. We're there too. So check us out everywhere. If you're on YouTube and you're watching us on a high definition video, hit the subscribe button. Why haven't you done that yet? Please, please, please do that. And as we've said on the show for 306 episodes now, we want to thank you guys out there for always supporting live music of all genres and all styles. And don't ever forget,
ETX rocks.
that's right.
Jim Beam and nicotine, just some of the things that I turn to since I don't have you. I light up a cigarette and I try to forget just how much I still love you. When you decided to leave, well, I put my heart on my sleeve, and you walked away so easily, but it's still hard for me. Jim Beam and nicotine, just some of the things it can be through getting over you. I light up a cigarette, but I just can't forget how much I still need you. When you decided to leave,
From the unknown to the stars, from the couch to the car, from the unheralded and the unheard, to the legends and beyond, it's where we all belong. Yes, this is where it all starts. From every genre, from every plane, this is where the music's played. So tune right in, won't you bring a friend? This is where it all begins. Welcome to the show, let the music flow, of every style and creed. And you can bet your socks that ETX rocks.